All right. Welcome to another edition of In Conversation. And today we have a special guest that I'm going to bring in and introduce you to. And her name is Julia Poorman. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Great to be here with you here. Obviously you're a singer-songwriter, and tell us how you got, how you came to be and got involved in music here and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've been singing and writing songs really since I can remember. When I was a little kid, I would write poems, and my sister and I would like make up random songs. So it's kind of like I don't even know when it really began, but I do know that when I started to really take it seriously was mid to late middle school. So probably like 11, 12 years old. I really wanted to get signed. And at that point, I wanted to get signed to Disney. That was like, that was my dream, right? So I started taking that really seriously and going down to New York and like recording EPs and New York City, by the way, because I'm from Central New York. Recording EPs and sending them to record labels, with my picture stuffed in an envelope and like the old school way of kind of pitching yourself. So yeah, I started taking it seriously around then and just kind of progressed through high school. Um, and then somewhere around 2012, 2013, I never stopped doing music, but I kind of put it on the back burner, just because I was faced with kind of life decisions. Like, I was 19, 18, 19 at the time. And I was kind of like trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't see music as a way of like making money or anything being lucrative unless I really like took off and became somebody. So I was like, okay, it's time to get a real job, buckle down, and you can still do music, but it's a more of a hobby. And then I kind of had a revelation about 2 years ago, and I started picking music back up like really seriously and getting back into it a lot more intentionally.
Was there any specific thing that happened that made you want to do it?
Yes. So my father unfortunately passed away very suddenly in May of 2021. And it was definitely something none of us were expecting. And I just knew in order to get through something like that, like music has always been therapeutic for me, no matter if I was going through a breakup or a death of a family friend or a death of a grandparent, whatever. I was always turning to music to kind of console myself. Um and there's even records I can like go back to and listen, and it kind of reminds me of that healing time. And so when that happened, I was like, I need to turn back to music, and I need to really dive into my writing again. And I need this time to kind of lift me up and get me through this, because it was such a heavy time that I really needed to like turn to things that made me feel at home. And songwriting and music really made me feel, I don't know, safe and at home, and made me feel a little less alone.
All right. So you got into about 2 years ago. And what was the first thing that you did music wise?
So I put out a song called Already Got It. And that was a very therapeutic song for me. I wrote it about just kind of having self-reflection of, um, we all kind of struggle with looking outside of ourselves for happiness or finding approval. And I wrote that song just to kind of confirm that everything that I ever want could really be fulfilled by my own perspective, if that makes sense. It's like, um, you have a lot more than you think that you have, or like if you can just focus on the good things that you do have, then you'll feel a lot more like abundant. So I wrote that song about that, and so that was my first track that I put out in October of 22. Um, so it took some time within there, to get to writing and meeting my producer, and then picking what songs we wanted to release, and then recording and all of that good stuff that comes along with it. So yeah, so already got it was my first track kind of when I dove back in.
Where did you record it at?
So it was a mix. I recorded originally at Lake House Recording Studio in Asbury Park, and then we did some of the mixing and some more vocals at Rose Dome Studio in Summit, New Jersey.
Is that pretty much how you've done all your singles and stuff, or do you use different studios and stuff?
So far, some of them have been solely done at Rose Dome, and some have been a mix between Lake House and Rose Dome.
Okay, good. So then what was the second single you put out?
Second single was a song called Runaway Ship, which I love all of my songs, even the one I just released, and we'll get there. I love all of my songs, but there's just a special thing that happens when I put on Runaway Ship. I really enjoy listening to that one. I don't know, there's just something sonically that I really enjoy about it. And I feel like you can exercise to that song, you can paint to that song, you can like roll your windows down and go for a drive to that song. It's just like a really good vibe. So I'm still very excited about that one.
Now, yeah, I've seen a couple other songs on your thing. Have you not actually released those as singles, like on your YouTube page and stuff like that? Or are those just songs that you kind of did or something, but never actually recorded in a regular studio yet?
Yeah, so on my YouTube channel, you will probably see it's kind of funny. You'll see some stuff that's like 2022, 2023, and then it'll be like 2013, which is really funny that gap there. And you can tell like the video quality is definitely 2013. So a lot of that stuff I'm pretty sure was just like covers. I never took it down, and I've thought about it. I'm like, should I take this stuff down so that nobody can like archive me and find like, embarrassing footage of me? But a lot of that stuff I was just doing as covers, and I was just kind of doing it for fun. Because a lot of times when I was playing out, I'd play those covers. And so I was like, let's just make a video of my favorite ones. So I don't think any of those songs. Actually, no, I think there is one. I think I did Remember My Name, which has not come out yet as a single. But maybe in the near future.
Okay, I saw something with Upstream. What's that one about?
Yeah. So Upstream was my third single that I released in March 24th, I believe it was. I know you're not asking me for dates, but I feel very like I need to like, test my memory here. Yeah, so March of 23, I put out Upstream, and I wrote that because all of my life I have been mm, I don't know. I've always kind of compared myself to other people and wanted to fit in, I mean, I think we kind of all naturally, maybe not all, but a lot of people do naturally kind of want to fit in. Um, and when we do that, we often kind of dilute who we really are. We lose a little bit of a sense of what we really stand for, or how we really feel, or what we think is cool, or what we think is right or not right. And I did that for a lot of my life. I think I wanted to be accepted, and I'd never wanted to like, I don't know, stand out. I wanted to be part of the crowd. And I don't know if that's just a survival mechanism that's kind of innately in some of us, but I think as I've gotten older, I've really found the beauty in being individual and um, standing up for what you believe in, or dressing however you want to dress, or being whoever you want to be. And that's really what this song embodies. It embodies the beauty that comes with standing, going against the current. That's really what it's about, right? There's that visual of don't go with the flow. There's a waterfall on the other side. And if you just lay back and you just kind of do what everybody else is doing, or become who you think everybody else wants you to become, then you're going to lose yourself and end up on the rocks. And it's not going to be a good look for you. So it's much more beautiful to kind of, go against that and find your own path.
All right, and that takes us obviously to your newly released single, View of You. Tell us all about that one. I guess it just came out this past week.
Yes. So View of You, I just released last Friday and June 2nd. And I wrote the song a while ago, actually. It's out of all the songs I've released, it's my oldest song. But I wrote it like very early on in my relationship with my now fiance. And it was really just about like being in that state where you feel um like fate has something at hand, or like fate, like, so the line says, coincidence I say never existed anyway, so here we are in tune. And I really believe that. I really believe that like we create our own reality, you know, everything is really perspective, all of that good stuff. So when I wrote View of You, I was really feeling like the universe or God or whatever, you know, or my higher self had a bigger plan, and that this was really meant to be. And this person was put in my life for many reasons, to show me places that I need to grow, to love me unconditionally for who I am, and all that good stuff. So I wrote it in a very honeymoon phase. But also I still really feel the way that I did when I wrote it, which was probably 8 years ago.
All right, so now you got these singles out. Did I miss any of them, or those are the four that are mainly out right now?
Those are the four.
Okay. So, what's the plan next? More singles here and there. You got a plan all in place here, or
What do
is
you
it?
mean? I gotta do more. Haven't I done enough? Yes, I definitely am going to keep really. I already know what my next single is going to be. I'm already working on it with my producer. I'm going to try. I'm kind of nudging. I want to play a little bit with country. So you can kind of hear that in View of You. There's a little bit of
Yep.
country uh, nodes in there. It's not like a full-on country song or anything like that, but I've listened to country music on and off for a while. And where I grew up, in the central New York, I know you don't, when you think of that, you don't really think of like country, but I grew up on dirt roads, and I grew up fishing in my pond and playing in the woods. And like, I'm really an outdoors kind of country girl at heart. Maybe not Southern, but yeah, I wanted to kind of play with that sound a little bit. So that's where I'm kind of moving slightly.
So you say Central New York, were you like in one area, or did you move out throughout that area region growing up?
So I grew up in a little town called Atlas, New York, which is right outside of Syracuse. And I was there. I was actually born in a town called Auburn. And then I lived in a town called Port Byron for maybe 2 years. And a lot of my family still lives there. And then moved to Atlas when I was like 6. And I lived there until I was about 19. Then eventually moved to New Jersey. And then my dad sold the house in New York. And so yeah, I still have family up there, but I now live near Asbury Park, New Jersey, and we've been here for 9.5 years.
Yeah, we're pretty familiar with Syracuse area. We're down the road in Buffalo here, so we're not too far away.
Yeah,
No, you may have had a couple songs that made it onto the Young and the Restless.
yeah.
Now, is that songs that you sang or just songs that you wrote?
I wrote them. Yeah, I wrote both of them.
And tell us about those songs.
Yeah. So the first song that I got on that show is called Ponder Me. And that was honestly, I think it was the first song I ever wrote on guitar. It's like 3 chords, it's super easy. And I wrote it about my first boyfriend when I was like 14. And I was working with this other producer. I still work with him from time to time, and he was like, I think this song would be perfect for these coffee shop scenes that they have in The Young and the Restless. And so he works with a catalog that supplies the show with tracks.
Mhm.
So he's like, let's try and get a few tracks on in their catalog. And so we worked on a couple songs. The first one was Ponder Me, and the second one. So I wrote Ponder Me when I was 14. We don't need to discuss the year, but when I was 14. And then about a year ago, or maybe 8, 9 months ago, I wrote a song called Where I Was Before. And both tracks ended up getting put onto the show. Ponder Me was like kind of like a cute little love song about like, I don't know, just being newly in love and figuring out what love even was. And not that that was love. I was 14, but it was like excitement and infatuation, right? And and then where I was before, I wrote. So I've been in a relationship for a while, right? And I have a steady job, and it's like sometimes I feel like my life isn't very exciting. So I have to kind of break out of my mold of like, oh, I used to write songs every time someone like broke my heart, or I was falling in love, or exciting things were happening, right? And now that like I feel like or big events, I shouldn't say exciting, but big events, big life events. And now that like some of that has kind of quieted down, I wanted to tell more stories, like just to try and put myself in somebody else's perspective, or put myself in like in my old shoes, when I was younger, and like try and remember what it felt like, to be in those situations again. So I wrote Where I Was Before kind of about like a desperate person, like a desperate lover who was left abruptly, and feels like, all of those feelings of kind of remorse of, now that you're gone, I can see all the things that, led you to leave. And I want you to know that like I've done that self-reflection. And if you ever decide that you want to come back, I'll be right where I was before. Like my heart will never be healed from you, basically. So I wanted to write that, write a song from more of a storyteller's perspective with that one.
All right. So give me like the biggest three albums that influenced you.
Ooh. When? um,
No, whenever, that you can maybe like looking back that you consider right now the three albums that
yeah.
you hold near to your heart or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I would say Speak Now by Taylor Swift was a huge album for me, because it came out at a time when I was really diving into music, and it was really cool because she's like 4 or 5 years older than me. So, to see somebody that is not much older than you kind of doing all of these really amazing things. And she put out this whole album that she wrote that entire album without any co-writers. And I thought that was really fascinating because she was only like 17 at the time, something around that age. And so that was really inspirational because I thought it was super well written, and I thought that was awesome. Another one would be Jagged Little Pill by Alanis. I think every song on that album is amazing. Um, a third one would be tough. Probably, this is really not very well known, but I have these friends. They go by Barnaby Bright, and they've been huge influences on me for a long time. I don't remember the name of the album. I can picture the cover art so well, but them as artists, just in general, were super influential to me growing up, and kind of in my really formative years, looking up to people who really knew how to write and really knew how to put a story together, and formulate it in a really digestible, commercialized way that people want to listen to it for years, over and over.
Now you you went to a workshop for songwriting.
Hmm.
This is probably after you've already written a lot of songs, I'm betting.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to do that?
Yeah. So it was actually it was a songwriter's course, like, and basically, so it wasn't like a 3-day workshop or anything like that. It was every Monday night I would go, and I would meet with a lot of other local kids, and we would learn. I say kids because a lot of people in there were younger than me. I was like, "Hi, I'm 27," and they were like, "Oh, I'm 17. I just I just left soccer practice." You know?
Mm.
But it was cool because sometimes there were people in there that were older than me, and sometimes people that were my age. So that was cool. But what led me to that was it was around the time that my father had passed, and I ended up going to pick up my guitar at a music store because I was like, okay, I'm going to pick up this. If I'm going to pick up the guitar and start writing again, I need new strings. And I had never had new strings put on that guitar. So I went and I dropped it off at a music store in Asbury. And when I went to go pick it up, and I had also been procrastinating picking it up because the store closed at 6 and I was like never there early enough to pick it up. And so finally one day I was just out in the middle of the day and I went over and I grabbed it. And as I was pulling in, I ended up meeting someone right outside who worked at the music academy that was upstairs. And he ended up just showing me all around the academy and telling me about the artist program that they had. And I just thought it was perfect timing for something like that because I really needed, if I was going to get back into songwriting, what I really needed at that time was inspiration. I needed what's the word I'm looking for, like mm, commitment, consistency. So if I'm going to join something and I have to go every Monday night, right? And I'm paying for it, then I'm going to feel like, okay, I have to go, right? So I ended up meeting really awesome people through that program. I'm not part of it currently, not to say that I wouldn't go back, but they opened their doors and gave me a lot of opportunities. I met a lot of people and I started playing gigs again, which I hadn't done in 8 years. So that was a really cool experience. And I would highly recommend anybody that is feeling like in a creative lull or just wants to like start to co-write. Like if you've never co-written a song with anybody before and you want to kind of bounce ideas off of other people, something like that is a really awesome tool to do that.
Now, besides the guitar, are there any other instruments that you play?
Not currently, just my voice. This one right here.
The important one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. 'Cause I wasn't sure if you played anything else or not, because sometimes people can play a lot of instruments, and sometimes they just
Yeah.
play one. So you
I would
wrote
love to
everything.
learn keyboard.
Yeah. So you just learned everything right on guitar. Yeah, I already got it. That song is definitely you made the video for that one. Are there plans for any videos for the other ones like you did with that one?
So for the four or the other three that are released now, no, but I do have and it's kind of funny because in past interviews you could probably see I'm like my next song will have a video. I know what song is going to have a video, but the plan is shifted a little bit, or like the order of things has shifted a
Mhm.
little bit. So there will be another video that will be coming out in the near future, and one of my next few singles will have another video, and I'm very very excited about that one. But I have a vision for that, and it's going to be you know pretty elaborate, and there's going to be a lot of people that I want in it, and so that all takes planning. And as a small artist, you can only get so much done. So it's coming down the pipeline, and I'm very very excited for it.
All right. And as far as the step with all the singles and everything, do you plan on putting them onto an album or an EP or something like that eventually down the road?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. You know, a while back, I kind of thought that I wanted to maybe do an EP of sorts, but I'm coming up with such a volume of material that it'll probably end up going on an album, and I'll probably release the album with all of the other singles and then some new ones that people don't know, people haven't heard yet. That way, it's they'll still want to listen to the album.
Now, what's your take on putting out an album? Obviously, so this would be your first. It seems like nowadays, back in the 70s, the 80s, and even part of the 90s, before the CDs came out in the real big popularity, people
Yeah.
would just put maybe, anywhere from like 8 to 12 songs on an album. And then the CD age made people put like try to fill it up the time and they would put on like 15, 16 songs. But,
Hmm.
a lot of people feel that later on music's kind of gotten watered down by putting down too much filler sometimes. What's your take on that aspect of it?
That's interesting. I never even thought about it like quite like that, going from like vinyl to CDs, and then, kind of diluting it like that. I think it's even different with streaming now,
Hmm.
unfortunately and fortunately, because there's everything's double-sided, right? Or multi-sided. But I do agree with you. I think that the quality of music that I hear, at least lyrically, um, there's a lot of songs I hear that I'm like, you can't be proud of that line. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you rhyming the same word with the same word, or you're like just saying something kind of, it's like you're saying something that we've all heard a million times, and you're not even trying to get creative with the way that you're trying to say it, you know? Um, so yeah, I could definitely see that, especially if people are signed to record labels and they need to like produce so much in such little time, and all of that. And then with streaming, things have shifted even more because now people want new stuff all the time. And if you put out a full length album, and especially if you're doing one that's 16, 18 songs, um, you better hope that people really love it and want to listen to it over and over and over again for at least a year, because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time, money, resources, all of that stuff to put that together. So what a lot of people are doing now is just putting out singles, and that's sort of how I've been advised, is just to, keep putting out singles. But I think eventually I would really like to put an album together. Me personally, I would never put out an album that I felt was like haphazard or diluted in any way, just to fill up the space. But like I said, I can totally see why some artists would feel the pressure to just pump the volume out.
Yeah, I mean it's all different now. You look back and, you know, 20, 30 years ago, everybody was putting out albums almost on a regular yearly, year and a half basis, maybe 2 years in between albums tops. But nowadays, all the big names, even, they're putting albums out every 3 to 5 years. It's just crazy how the whole thing has changed.
Yeah, I know. And it's just, we just got to keep rolling with the punches, right?
What was the first concert that you ever saw?
Ooh, like a big name we're going for probably. I think it was Chris Daughtry.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was the New York State Fair in Syracuse, and Chris Daughtry was coming to town, so I had to be there.
Now, who else have you seen that you really admired, that you were glad you got to see them, that type of thing?
Well, iconically, I saw Taylor Swift. That's pretty iconically. That was after her 1989 tour. But if I have to say, probably my favorite show that I've ever been to was for a band called Muna. That's Muna, Muna.
Hmm.
And they're becoming a lot more well known now. Actually, they just opened for Taylor Swift. Like 5 of her shows, they just opened. So they're really making a name for themselves. But I saw them at a super small venue in Philadelphia back in 2017. I believe it was like February of 2017. And at that time, I just knew every word to every song. Oh, so speak of albums, you talk about iconic albums. I can't believe I skipped over Muna. But yes, Muna's initial album, I think it was called So Special, that they put out. Um, yeah, hands down, my one of my favorite albums ever. And I would probably, if I could relive that night, I would. Yeah.
Do you have like a method of how to construct a set list for that?
Definitely, definitely. So, I mean, typically I always start off with the songs that I'm super comfortable playing. So, like, I have a couple songs that I've been playing just for like years and years, and they're very catchy, and they always tend to like pull people in, so I'll start with those couple of songs, and then uh typically kind of put everything else in the middle somewhere that feels good, because the one of the I love going to see live music, but sometimes when somebody is not engaging enough and their songs kind of like all sound the same, or they play three really slow songs in a row, or just the like the the ride of their set, I guess,
Hmm. Hmm.
isn't flowing properly, you can kind of lose the audience's attention, and then therefore they're like, maybe they would have looked you up, but now they're just like, when can we leave? So I'm very aware of that. So I like to kind of put like a fast upbeat song, and then maybe something that's a little more set back, and then maybe a cover, and then maybe another one that's a little more set back, and then an upbeat song again. So I like to kind of mix everything all together.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good. I mean,
Yeah.
because some people don't really think about it. I'm guessing, and like you said, that's why you run into what you saw there about the way they're
Yes.
playing the slow songs and all in a row and stuff like that. So yeah, you gotta definitely, it seems like you're right on the ball with all this stuff, which is good. So
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I'm doing my best.
always got to wait for the. So any ideas on the next single? Seems like they've been every month and a half to 2 months. Probably by the end of summer, hopefully. Or
Yes. So my birthday is August 11th. That's all I'm going to say. I
okay,
mean,
okay,
so
there we go.
yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. And why don't you let them know where they can find you on all your social media sites here?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. It's Julia_Poorman, Poorman. I have a website, juliapoorman.com. You can also find me on TikTok, Julia_Poorman. Um, those are all the big ones. You can find me on Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook as I probably should be, but my demographic is a little bit more Instagram, TikTok. So
All right. Very good. Well, once again, thank you for your time. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And good luck with all the singles and the music that you've released so far and anything coming up shortly here, like in
Thank you so
August.
much. Yes.
Okay.